Hey, welcome back to another episode of Harness Your Intuitive Superpowers, the place where we learn about energy secrets that busy professionals need in order to thrive beyond mediocrity and embody extraordinary abundance and success. I'm your host, Dr. Amir Hall, and today I am so excited to bring to you my friend, Lisa Barnett. Lisa is the founder of the Akashic Records School of Wisdom, where she's taught thousands of students worldwide how to access their own personal soul wisdom through their own Akashic record. She's also known as an internationally best-selling author of the book Acacia and Your Soul Has a Plan and the Infinite Wisdom of the Akashic Records. Lisa's devoted herself to 25 years of personal sessions and teaching all about the Akashic Records so that her clients understand that each of us has a soul plan to have greater happiness, fulfillment, abundance, and joy. And I am so excited. I think you're going to really enjoy our conversation. And so I'd like you to help me welcome Lisa Barnett. And don't forget to stay to the end because Lisa shares with you her incredible gift. I don't want you to miss it. Now help me welcome Lisa Barnett. Hey, Lisa. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Oh, thank you. I am so happy to be here with you and to be able to just share this wisdom with your community. So thank you for having me on.
Lisa, I'm fascinated with how did you get started with your work, reading the Akashic Records? How did this all begin for you?
The funny story is that it actually began about 63 years ago. So I was
I thought you were going to say lifetimes ago, but
that too, honestly. But I was born very awake. I realized as almost a toddler that I was trapped, was my feeling as a little toddler, trapped back in a body. And I thought, what the heck? Send me home, send me back. And when I was old enough to really start reading adult books, I remember the first ones were like 13, 14, high school kind of age. I read Journeys Out of the Body. I was still trying to escape.
Wow.
And so it's been a lifelong path. I studied spirituality all through high school because I was really blessed to be living in California, and it was just the early 70s. And I studied philosophy at university, and so the path went on, and eventually I became an intuitive energy healer. And it was at that point when I was working with clients that I would occasionally hear this kind of big booming voice with this very expansive information. And I'd think, wow, that's amazing. It was like seeing all their lives stretched out and all of these stories and a lot of the whys. Why would I pick this family? Why would I choose these challenges? And that information was coming in. And so it took me a while to realize who was giving me this very big, expansive information. And when I did, that really became my full purpose, because I realized it just was the path that I had come. And of course, asked them questions like, how come I can hear you?
A lot of times people have asked me, what's the difference between, or how do you know you're tapping into the Akashic Records versus you're just, that you're a channeler? So can you explain the difference and maybe go into a little bit of what your impression of the Akashic Records is for our listeners?
Absolutely. So let me just start with a brief description of what the Akasha is. So the energy of the Akasha, or the Akashic Records, is part of source energy. It is really the information arm of source, is what they've said to me. It's of course part of the quantum field. So there is no time and space in these realms. And everything you have ever been or done is automatically recorded into this vibration of the Akasha, which in Sanskrit really translates to sky or ether. So the idea is that each and every person, each and every soul has their own Akashic library, where all of the lifetimes you've had here on Earth and in other places, dimensions, worlds, all of those lives are stored, if you imagine, in books in a library that's only for you. And you also have your very own personal librarians. So there are a group of Akashic record keepers that are in service just to you, helping you understand who you've been, what you've done, actually understand the soul plan that you wrote before you came into this life.
Fascinating.
I know,
Fascinating. I know.
bit of a mouthful.
Could we, yeah, breathe, Lisa, breathe. Let me breathe. Yeah, it's more than a mouthful, it's a mind stretcher. And so I like to think, would you say multidimensional aspects to who we are is what the Akashic records are?
Absolutely. So we can look at it, we can look at these lives on this earth plane in this dimension. We can actually access more than we have ever been able to before, the galactic records, which hold more of the stories of other lifetimes where we were Syrian or Arcturian or angelic. And so there we can learn about all of these other multidimensional aspects of ourselves, as well as who we've been in other lifetimes here. Though when we're coming into a body, when we decide to come back, we write a whole big plan because we really want to do a lot of stuff, right? We want to support other soul family members. We want to learn and grow as a soul. We want to share and teach as a very infinite soul. We have gifts and talents that we want to bring back into this life. And
some we don't.
and many we don't.
Yeah.
And we pick them anyway, which is those crazy things.
That's where you got stuck in the loop and you're like, this is crazy making. I don't ever want to come back here.
That was me who was like, what am I doing here again? Are you kidding me? This poor crazy little 3-year-old telling your mother, I want to go back. I want to send me back. Or my poor mom was like, I have no idea.
And that was back in the 50s or 60s, right?
Yeah, that was the 50s. It was,
They'd slip you a Mickey and put you back in bed.
Right, exactly. It would be. And luckily we do that energetically to ourselves, because even though we write a complex plan, we hit these physical bodies in this 3D world and we have amnesia. So most of us don't remember. And I know so many of my clients wonder, why don't we remember all these past lives? And literally the record keepers tell us, of course, there's so many layers in the Akash about the whys, but one of the reasons is that we have created this world, this dimension, because we really want to have the experience of going from separation, believing that we're just these small little humans, that we are separate from source, that we are separate from others. And we want to work through that maze and to get to that center where we realize, oh, I really am one with source. I really am one with all. And so we are playing literally a game with ourselves. And most of us have done it hundreds and hundreds of times on this planet, on Earth, before we eventually awaken, before we can raise our consciousness enough, which also has to do with the alignment of the planet and the galactic center. We're coming into that greater alignment where this is so much easier and more possible for everyone to start to awaken. And that may be over the next 50, 100, 500, who knows, years, right? Because we also have that free will aspect in there. But we don't want to come here. We're not coming here because we want to be aware and awake. We're coming here to learn and grow as a soul. Other places and dimensions, we're totally aware and awake. So Earth is our kind of playing field where we can have that amnesia. And so part of the process is working through these old karmic patterns, moving past believing that we have been abandoned by the divine and we are all alone here.
And to work through the emotional aspect of being as a human. And
absolutely.
That's everything you described about remembering who we are and the whole experience is what I saw in my near-death experience. And I saw a hallway, a long, grand hallway with doors. And it was years after that I started to put it together. Oh my God, I think I was in the Hall of Records.
Very possibly, absolutely, right?
Yeah.
We're claiming that memory and able to download some of those gifts and talents. And really the phenomenal thing is that when you can learn to access your own Akashic records, which is what I teach my students. So I'm the founder of Akashic Knowing School of Wisdom, which I started a lot of years ago now, not 60, but a lot anyway.
Yeah.
And so I teach people online to access their own Akashic records with a 5-step wisdom prayer system that the Akashic record keepers have given me.
That's so
So
beautiful.
they really said all those years ago to me, they said, it is time to bring the Akashic records back to humanity, because it is one of the greatest empowerment tools on our planet.
To remember who we are.
To remember who we are. Absolutely.
So with all of that wisdom and knowledge you have and years of practice and experience with it, Lisa, what can we say to busy professionals that are really trapped in their logical and their decision-making side of themselves to let go and trust intuition? What would that look like?
Honestly, it is one of the great questions that many of my students ask me when they start to think about learning to access their own Akashic records, because I, of course, work with tons of people who are in the corporate world or very busy. Sometimes they're doctors or naturopaths, or they may be healers and have deep intuition, but they want even more expansive wisdom and access really with ease to the quantum field. So the fascinating thing is that if you own your own business, if you are an entrepreneur, then your business actually has a soul of its own. So through your own Akashic records, you can learn to access the soul of your business and really be guided very clearly and specifically. We can ask very specific questions in the Akashic records of our own business about our highest and best next steps. Would it be in my best interest to hire a business partner or work with a PR firm? Which one, this one or that one? Do I have karma with this person before I hire them?
Good point.
Right? Do I have a soul contract of support with this person? Again, before I hire them or I become business partners with them, I really want to know that I have a supportive soul contract with that person and not a karmic one.
But don't we have karma with everybody that we connect with at some level?
No, I don't think so.
So I guess I'm assuming, so in that word karma, is it always because we're trying to finish something, but could it not be a continuance agreement?
So we write soul contracts with people, but again, not everybody that you meet. You do not have a soul contract with every person you meet. I know some people occasionally will say that. And what the record keepers tell me is that most of us write 50 or 100 soul contracts with important people in our lives. And that may be your parents, and it may not be your parents, which is also very interesting because it's not a given. We often write a half a dozen or a dozen soul contracts for significant intimate partnership, a spouse or significant partner. And we do that not because you're going to fulfill all 12 of them, but because we, as of course, big infinite souls, know that we are moving around, know that people make other free will choices, and that might take them off the table. And so we are hedging our bets because we are pretty smart old souls. And so I'm going to give myself a dozen soul contracts with supportive contracts. And so that's the difference. Yes, we may write contracts. Some have karma attached, which means that there may be lessons and learning and soul growth and some challenges or trauma involved. And we're choosing to work through them with someone.
Sorry about that. Sorry to disturb you. Yes. And we can end the karma with it. And we can break the,
And we can work through the karma, but it's about you learning. It's about your soul growth. So we can't just erase karma randomly, because if we haven't learned that lesson, it will come back again and again until you actually get the growth from it.
so this fly that keeps coming around, I've got karma with it.
It's like an old karmic pattern.
Oh yeah, I guess because it's such a heavy conversation, so topic, complicated, that we needed a little break and
Right, a little levity there
and
with our
use it.
fly.
Yeah, it's good. So tell me, and in using your work, how would you encourage somebody to open that ability to, one, trust their intuition or connect with the Akashic records? How does that happen?
I work with people in two different ways. Of course, I do Akashic record readings and healing sessions for people who just want some information now, and they maybe don't have the time or the bandwidth or the interest to learn themselves. And of course, even though it is a phenomenal empowerment tool, it is a practice. Nobody becomes intuitive in 1 hour.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, dropping that bomb of truth, because there's people that think they can just download a class and get it.
Right. And it was always funny to me when I started studying as a psychic and energy healer with a wonderful, wonderful woman long ago, like back in the 80s and 90s. I worked with her for over 8 years because, one, I was slow on the uptake. It was almost 3 years before I really got it, before I could really activate my clairvoyance and really get good information and became a strong energy healer before I was going to go out and hang out my shingle and actually start to work with clients. It took almost 3 years for that to happen.
I thought I recognized that energy within you.
And yeah. Yeah. And so the interesting thing for me was that when the Akashic record keepers asked me to start an Akashic school, when they told me in the beginning that they wanted me to help them re-anchor the Akashic records back to Earth, and I was surprised and confused. Again, think about the 80s and 90s, not much information about the Akasha.
No, it was not.
Right, at all.
There was the word karma. Yeah, if you screw me, buddy, you're going to really get a big,
you're going to reap that
boomerang.
bad karma.
Yeah.
Watch out,
that was
right?
it. Yeah.
But they explained to me that they, the record keepers, had literally pulled the vibration of the Akashic field away from Earth during the Dark Ages. That was about 1000 AD. They pulled the vibration away because people misused the energy and the information for their own gain. And so they pulled it away, and it wasn't until around 1970, 1980s that they were tapping on people's shoulders like me, who actually had worked in the Akashic records as a soul, to say, hey, help us re-anchor this energy so people can actually access it again. Beautiful. And so that was part of the process, is energetically doing readings and then teaching people and starting my own school. But part of what their point was that we want to make it accessible, again, because of this new planetary alignment, the new yuga that we're in, right? We're realigned into a new energy, the age of Aquarius instead of where we were. They really needed us in human bodies to help them, which is another important point, because I think so many people really want to escape the physical. And let me just say, that was me for a good 40 years of my life, at least. Let me just space way out and hang out in the ethers, journeys out of the body. But what the record keepers...
There's still a lot of people that do that and want to do that. And that's their idea of meditation. I just want to unplug and they leave their body.
And the record keeper said that when we really want to create this new earth, if you really want to create and manifest in your life, whether it's a relationship or more vitality, greater health, more money, more abundance of love, and all of the yummy abundance on our planet, you need to be embodied to create it in this earth dimension. So learning to really live more in your heart and bringing your soul really more grounded and
Present.
anchored and present, integrated, literally, because your soul and your physical body have a contract together. And
Yeah, and
so,
I'm just thinking of all these people that are listening to this multitasking. They're not present. And it's because so many people, I'm present, I'm here, I'm listening to you, but multitasking, and that's just a small example of how that derails us from truly, like you said, manifesting what we want. And so I was thinking, is there any wisdom from the acacia that you can share with us about elevating our intuition to increase more abundance?
absolutely. So that's part of where I'm leading with this a little bit rambly. I do know, get a little out there because there's so much information in the Akashic records. But one of the points the record keepers have made to me and to my clients and students is that, one, when we can literally bring our soul down and anchor it more fully into the body, become grounded, connect to Gaia beneath our feet. I teach a tripod grounding system to do that. When we can then become the sovereign of our body, which means I get to be the queen of this physical body and this energy field, right? So we have,
Or the king.
or king, of course, but I get to be the queen.
Yeah, absolutely.
But right, it's not just what, right? You have a chakra system, you have 7 layers to your aura, you have 4 bodies. So there is so much energy bodies. There's so much more than what we're seeing here when we really are the king or the queen, the owner, the sovereign of the energy field. It is helping us live in present time, align to our higher selves, and eventually align up to our soul's plan and our work, our Akasha.
And embody the plan.
All that is what will help you then be in alignment, raise your vibration, and create what your soul and your body, right, your heart and soul came to create in this world, whether it is about other people and relationships and love and family, and or our businesses, our careers. All of that can come together when we start to think, why am I not making the money that I feel like I should be making? Or why are my relationships feeling wonky and not very solid? Or why do I have a lot of challenges with people? Often just starting to come into alignment energetically, and then again, intuitively.
And so what is intuitive? Like I'm a Cancerian. I've always been sensitive to feelings and allowing that to guide me. What would you describe as intuitive?
We have many clairs, of course, right? We have our clairvoyance, our third eye. We have our clairaudience, that hearing sense. We have claircognizance, which is a knowingness, which we often feel in our heart. We have clairsentience, which we often feel is that gut reaction, which is that gut knowingness. And of course, those goosebumps, right? So some people consider their intuition the physical levels of kind of the sensing, the goosebumps, the gut reaction. But what I also love to teach my students is how to connect these powerful 3 intuitive brains that are in the body, right? We have a head brain, but that also connects to those clairvoyance, clairaudience. And we can connect that to the heart brain, which is claircognizance, as well as the love and that sense that we receive, that's so powerful when we kind of sense through love and cognizance, clear knowingness. And then the gut brain, which is really part of the 3rd chakra, which is really about what am I knowing? What am I noticing? What am I sensing, feeling? And so when you can really energetically connect these 3 brains in your body, that's lining up and really strengthening all levels of your intuition.
So in another way, another word that's probably destroyed, in my opinion, is psychic. Right? Psychic and intuitive. You could almost say that's your psychic sense. Some people feel more comfortable with that word. A lot of people have found that intuitive word has a softer approach to reach a broader community. But I find that it's something that so many people discount and don't listen to. What would you recommend for people to do in order to trust that or to develop that? Besides, you mentioned your great classes and your trainings and building a practice, but what could we do to sharpen our intuition?
What it feels like to me, and of course, because we have these multiple layers of intuitive knowingness, right, between the clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairsentience, we can activate them literally by spending time turning inwards. Of course, meditating, but not meditating in a standard sort of way where we're either using a mantra or watching our breath or any of those. It's about feeling into what we are noticing coming into and in our bodies, right? As we can start to pay attention to drop out of your head and into your heart, which is fabulous, of course, for every person wanting to create greater abundance, because when we follow our heart, we are also following our purposes and our path. We're
And doing
following our
and taking
soul.
taking right steps in the right directions and not fighting it because it feels right.
So we have that beautiful energy of our heart, of our love. It's its own doorway or energetic portal right there in your fourth chakra heart. And so when we can let that energy open and expand, we are really opening to greater also claircognizance, right? That clear knowingness, which is often that I just know it. I can't tell you why, I just do. And when we can start to pay attention to those intuitive hits, that I just know it, I just get this is the right step for me. And then we can sit quietly in our heart and double check with our body and our energy field and our heart. Is this truly the highest and best next step? You know, for me, for my business, in my relationship. And it could be about a move or going deeper with a partner where you're going to become more committed, or whether it's taking a job or starting a business. Listening to your heart really, to me, is that very deep connection to your soul and to your knowingness, and just opening a beautiful portal to receive so much more information. And then, of course, from there, you can go from there and do some of those same things with your third eye and inviting that to open and expand a little bit further, and your clairaudience, that hearing sense. And for most of us, we hear in our own head. It sounds like us quietly talking in our head. So we often discount it. But
Yeah,
when
I
you
know. I've
know,
heard people say, "Oh, I'm hearing voices in my head." Then
well,
I got to go see a doctor and
that,
take some medication, But I knew, especially after my near-death experience, I started seeing and having all my clairs got cranked up so loud. I had to learn actually how to turn them down. But I know I've heard from so many people. I too thought I was a little bit crazy then, because I knew intuition, but that was on a whole new level. So I know that there's a lot of people starting to have these experiences and not knowing who they can count on or where they can turn to or to talk about it, like feeling safe about it. Have you noticed other people just spontaneously waking up in terms of trust or having spiritual psychic abilities recently?
absolutely. So many of my new clients come to me and they were like, I just woke up,
Yeah,
which would be like, I get it. I'm like,
yeah.
when did this happen? It might have been 3 months ago or 3 years ago, but it's recent.
Yes, very recent and very fast.
Yeah.
And so it's almost, I know my challenge is, where do we begin? We got to go back to the beginning, but you're already in high school or and from birth, you and I were birthed and we went through this process. So many people are coming into high school. They're just in terms of the
Right.
development.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's fascinating. And so learning how to manage these abilities would be key to that then, wouldn't it?
Absolutely key. And again, this is why when the record keepers asked me to really start a school, and because I wouldn't have done it without their please do this, please help anchor this and teach other people to do this work. They've given me so many beautiful short meditations. Most of them are 8 to 12 minutes, because I know we just don't have the bandwidth, the attention span, right? So really things like tripod grounding system. I teach something called the Rainbow Shield, where it helps you to be the sovereign. We clear everyone out of our energy field. We fill ourselves up with our highest golden cosmic light, the highest soul energy of us and our records. And we really literally create a very strong field, which means I'm owning this space and I'm starting to align. And then it makes it easier to even hear your intuition, because there's not as much chatter in your head or in your body, because we've sent all those other people who might be chattering away in your telepathics in hanging out in your energy field. We send them their energy back so that we can really live in alignment to our soul path and our soul's plan and work. So using simple aspects, I teach people to literally call their energy back, so that when we leave energy in other people's fields, other places, in a meeting, in an argument, wherever it was that we scattered ourselves about, we can simply and easily start to call our own energy back. Again, they're beautiful, simple tools to help us.
You're making me laugh. I'm sorry. What do you mean, call my energy back? I left that wonderful vacation 2 weeks ago. So how could I have energy there? Talk about that. I'm sorry. It's a little funny to me.
Yeah, no, it's very true, because I'm always calling energy back from some beach. But of course we do, because when we love something, we go on a vacation, we just love it. And we think, I'd love to stay here forever. And energetically, we mock a little piece of ourselves up sitting in a nice beach chair somewhere. And so we're giving pieces of ourselves away. Often when we send someone's love, instead of just sending pure unconditional light and love of the divine, we're actually sending them pieces of ourselves. And it can be depleting. It can make us feel a little bit more tired, a little more stressed and stuff. And so really being able to just use I use a beautiful magnetic sun to just with the intention to call my energy back, bringing it back into my body, again, in this present moment, because we're often scattered into the past, especially if we talk about and think about and worry about and struggle around things that are in the past. So we're living in the past, and
we literally leave an imprint of ourselves there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yep. A piece. Yeah.
A segment.
Yeah. Yes. So
even though our physical body's not there, some of us, unknown to us, that unconscious part is still in that moment.
We're huge souls. Our whole soul does not fit into a body ever. We have
It's a good point. Most people don't think of themselves as that. We just don't go, I don't know. I've been on this path a long time, but I don't go around thinking how big I am. I mean, I do think about my skirt getting too tight, but that's a whole different topic.
Right, because if you go down even into a deeper concept that there is no time and space, that means that every one of your past lives is actually happening now. So you may have 1,000 aspects of yourself in other kind of time, space dimensions on the planet. So there's 1,000 pieces of you right there living other lifetimes, not to mention just what you left on a beach in a chair.
And I'm thinking about every gift I've ever given. How much my energy must have gone to those people or situations, or we wonder why we get depleted or feeling flat.
Exactly. That's what I always say. It's, oh my gosh, I must have really been sending a lot of love out. I need to call that all back and just send them pure source, unconditional love. It doesn't have to be from you or your energy field. It can get to channel that through source, right through our heart.
So what I'm getting a sense of what you're saying is we have to know ourselves. And as we enhance that ability to know ourselves, our gifts, our natural intuition will be as bright as a sun in the sky.
Right.
And guide us.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Beautifully said. Because in some ways, and with some of my clients, I feel like I'm almost peeling old, wet overcoats off of them because they have other people's upset or anger. Maybe they had a traumatic childhood with an alcoholic parent or abusive parent. All of the negative energy literally ends up in and on our energy field. And then people wonder, why can't I create a good life for myself? And it's because we have to find you under all of that heavy energy. First, we have to peel and send them back their energy. And we do a lot of quantum healing through the Akash to start to release some of the emotional pain and trauma, all of that aspect that can create kind of pain patterns in our energy field, and then eventually in our body.
Yep.
That can transfer down right into dis-ease, right to illness. And so most of us have lots and lots of layers of other stuff, especially when we're new on a spiritual path. Great practices, great things to learn about. And of course, that's why I always say I still do readings for people, because people need that kind of emergency assistance very often.
And also confirmation. Yeah, confirmation or validation they're not losing their minds.
And then
I know I lost my mind a long time ago, but I found it.
Did you? I don't know that I ever did find mine. What? I gave it up. It's okay. I'm good.
Cuckoo crazy's fine with me. Yeah, I like you, Lisa.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. I think our guides want to play here too. So I'm just wondering, what would you say to a skeptic about the Akashic, let's say, or trusting intuition? What would you say to them?
What we're finding, and what I think is very important and powerful, is to start to blend or have spirituality meet science. And there are many people out there right now, like Nassim Haramein, who's a phenomenal physicist, who's really teaching spiritual work, because they're finding that the quantum field really proves a lot of what you and I are talking about here.
Dr. Bruce Lipton talking about the human genome and how thoughts are creating and affecting our physical body. So it's science driven, isn't it?
So much is really being proven now through science. So it's very wonderful. So really, that's what I would say. I would say check some of those things and see how that feels once you start to realize that. And again, this is why I even talk about the Akashic records. It's not stored in Egypt. It's not in your body. It literally is part of the quantum field of source energy. And the record keepers say it is this information arm. If you could imagine that there was an energy specific to all of the information of the multiverse, let's say, huge libraries upon libraries. Each of us have our own, and then there's galactic ones, and there was ones for sacred sites and earth and science, and
on and on.
A lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Hey, I know that you come bearing gifts. So I would like you to share what that is with our listeners.
Love to. So I am sharing my guided visualization, which is just really a beautiful journey into the Akashic field. And so in this guided visualization, and again, it's only 10 or 12 minutes. You don't have to find an hour to do it, but I take you energetically into your own personal Akashic library, where you get to meet your Akashic record keeper. And then we go out into the beautiful garden that is part of your Akashic record. And we bathe in the river of forgiveness. We do a little beautiful forgiveness work. And then we come back into the library and we receive 3 gifts from other lifetimes. So beautiful gifts and talents that you have honed in other times. And we can reclaim those energetically into our own body right here and now in this present time.
I can't wait to listen to it myself. I really am excited. Yeah, that's
Thank
awesome.
you. Yeah, fun gift. And you get to energetically release some old, right? When we let go, when we do our forgiveness work, we literally are clearing some of the old karma that we've been working on. So it's a great way to release karmic patterns. And of course, to reclaim past life talents and gifts is phenomenal. So a very fun meditation that you can actually do again and again. Go back and do some more bathing in the river of forgiveness and reclaim more gifts.
Awesome. Awesome. Lisa, we could talk for eons. I know you and I. And so I just know the clock is ticking here. And I wondered if you had a last thoughts to share with our listeners today.
Absolutely. I always love that. I just want to check in with the Akashic record keepers and see what they would like to say to everyone. So the message I'm hearing is very much about staying the course, is what they're saying. They say, let go of your fear and your worry. We really are moving into a higher vibrational world. We are, no matter what it looks like on the news, we are creating a new earth. And there are beautiful children coming onto the planet who will also be bringing amazing new inventions, new thoughts, ideas that we've never had before in this recent couple thousand years. And so they're saying, just let go of your worry and your doubt, stay the course, and you will enjoy this beautiful new earth that we are all creating together.
And trust your intuition.
And trust your intuition to do that. Let go of that fear, trust your intuition, and
Yes,
stay the
yes,
course
beautiful.
into the new earth.
That is so wonderful. Thank you, Lisa. I'm so thrilled, and I'm ever grateful for having this special time with you to learn from you and invite everybody to step into their hearts and a greater sense of themselves. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. It's been a joy.
Yes, for me too. So thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. It's such an honor to have you, and I'll look forward to seeing you again in our next episode. Keep shining bright.